We all know the Rolex Daytona is one of the most sought after watches by collectors, but why is this one about double the price of a similar looking watch? We'll find out here in a moment. Fresh from the showcase at SwissWatchExpo, this morning we're talking about a really special Rolex Daytona. This one has just come into our inventory, and if you look at our website, you'll be able to see if it's still in stock, but we're really fortunate to have it right now. This one is a Patrizzi Dial Rolex Daytona, and I'll explain everything about what that means and why it's roughly double the price that it would be otherwise. So just to give you kind of a lay of the land, a quick overview, you'll recall that in the Rolex Daytona there are three main generations. There was the one that was made from about 1963 to 1988 that was based on the Valjoux movement. This one had a hand-wound mechanical. You actually had to wind it every day. It was not automatic winding, and that one was not as popular as Rolex wanted it to be, but they made it for a long time. In 1988, they came out with the Zenith-based movement. Rolex re-engineered the Zenith El Primero movement, made it much better than it had been as a Zenith movement, and it became finally automatic, and it had the sapphire crystal, and it was pressure-proof, and people just went crazy for it. It was the reference 16520, and when you're looking at the Zenith movement watches, they were only made for about 12 years or so. It's a little bit hard to get an exact date on things with Rolex, but those are the approximate years. And because they were made for a short period of time and then discontinued, they're all the rage now still. So if you find yourself looking at a Rolex Daytona from the 90s, you're going to really have your hands on something nice. In 2000, more or less, they brought the movement in-house. They came out with the 4130 caliber that is considered by a lot of people to be the greatest chronograph movement ever made. But this is the one that we're focused on today, is the Zenith years. And within the Zenith movement, this is the one that once it came out, this is where you saw the wait lists that were years long, people paying huge premiums to skip the line and move ahead and get a watch before their number came up. So the wait lists were huge. Really, the Daytona has been in short supply for 30 years. It really has never cooled off since then. The Daytona, in a lot of ways, really is the watch that kind of launched the vintage watch craze. So this is the grail watch for a lot of people. Most people that are watch collectors would love to own one of these. And it definitely sets the benchmark for what vintage watch collecting is all about. But what happened with this watch that makes this one special is that in the 90s, you saw a lot of different subtle changes to the dials. And Rolex does this over the years. They have, you'll see it in other watches as well, like in the Explorer 1. There are multiple marks for the dial, and there are slight differences in the fonts and where the letters are placed and that sort of thing. But this one's really different, and what's different about this one is that unlike, say, the error dial on a GMT Master, where all of the watches that have that feature are exactly the same, with the Patrizzi Dial Daytonas, each one is different. The watches have a unique, one-of-a-kind pattern to the way the patina ages on the dial. What happened was they used an organic varnish called zapon that was a lacquer that was to protect the dial, but when it reacted with the UV rays, it actually changes because the coverage wasn't good enough on the dial. And so what you see is in these subdials, the rings around the subdial, so this is only on the black dial version, you see that they fade out and they change color. They should be kind of a whitish silver color, but you can see they're turning sort of a brown. And they change to a creamy color all the way to a full-on brown, and it doesn't seem to stabilize. So These watches are continuing to change, and each one is completely different. Of course, in the world of Rolex, unique means expensive, and that's why these are worth a lot, because each one is completely different. You could really make a career just of collecting these. They were only made for about 2 years. About 1994 to 95 was the only years they used that particular varnish. Because each one is different, it's a lot of fun to look at them. The reason that they're called Patrizzi is that the founder of Antiquorum, one of the famous auction houses and one of the drivers of the vintage watch market, the founder was Osvaldo Patrizzi, and in 2006 he started selling off some of his personal Rolex collection, and he first noticed that this varnish had changed this color. And so once he identified it, it became something that people refer to. That's where the nickname comes from. But it's a lot of fun to look at. When you look at this, if you just look at our website at SwissWatchExpo.com, type in the word Patrizzi, Patrizzi, in the search bar, you'll be able to see the close-up pictures of this watch and any others that we might have gotten since then. But it's a lot of fun, and it's one of the things that exemplifies why Rolex collecting is such an interesting hobby, because there's no end to the number of variations that you could focus on, but a lot of interesting things that make these watches unique and special. So give us a click, like the videos, click the bell, like to subscribe, give us a comment, tell us what you like about this watch, and give us a ring. Give us a call here at Swiss Watch Expo. See if we've still got this watch in stock. We'd love to put it on your wrist.